needs to fix this immediately. So we are going to talk about something that I think they need to fix about, draft night in general. And then I'm also going to give my draft analysis of the second round. So let's talk about it. So the first thing I want to say, I guess we'll talk about what the NBA needs to change. And that is Scott Van Pelt, if you know where I'm about to go with this, about the hats. And basically what the, question or concern is that these players are getting traded to the pick and the player is getting traded to a different team. And so what that means is the hat that they are wearing is not the team that they are going to, because the team that originally had the pick 5 minutes prior was the team that they put out the hat for. So why this is an issue for a lot of people is they are getting photographed in a hat for the Boston Celtics, let's say, but they're actually going to the Memphis Grizzlies. And everybody knows they're going to the Memphis Grizzlies, but yet they haven't figured out a solution on how to make it so the player can wear the correct hat. In the biggest moment of their life, they are wearing the wrong hat. So that is why it is such a big, deal. Obviously, in retrospect, compared to the NBA careers and stuff like that, we understand that's not a quote unquote big deal. But it is their biggest moment getting drafted. We have to get the hats right. And so this is my solution on what I think they could do to get the hats correct. And what I think they should do is, because I heard a suggestion last night, I forgot who Scott Van Pelt had on, talking with him after the draft, but I think it might have been Bobby Marks. And they were talking about how if you move the draft after free agency, then the picks will be, more likely that the picks will be correct. Obviously they don't want to do that, and I don't necessarily think that's necessary. I think what they could do, which is a simple solution, and someone can, tell me if this is a flawed solution, but I feel like it's really simple. You tell the teams, they all have 5 minutes on the clock, we know. So when they're about to make a draft pick, it says 5 minutes on the clock. So what you do is you tell the teams, if you want to make a trade, you have to have it completed with 1 minute left on the clock. So what does that do? It gives the NBA, first of all, Adam Silver should have an earpiece in his ear. There's no way that the NBA, this is another thing, but related. Why is Adam Silver and Mark Tatum, this is not their fault specifically, but why is it that Shams is announcing the trades as soon as they happen, but Mark Tatum and Adam Silver are announcing it 10 picks later? That can't happen. I'm sorry, that can't happen. How can the commissioner, and I guess he's technically the vice president commissioner, how can the commissioner of the NBA not know the trade is happening before or at the same time as Shams? How is that possible? So that's tied into this whole issue, but maybe he does know, but this is part of the problem. But I'm saying there's no way that the commissioner of the NBA should not know at the same time as Shams that a trade is happening. That's number one. So it's related to this. But back to what my idea is, you tell these teams, if you are making a trade with your pick, it has to be done with 1 minute left on the clock. And so in my scenario, Adam Silver has an earpiece in his ear and stuff like that. And so they're telling him at that 1 minute mark, this team is keeping their pick, or this team traded their pick to Orlando, whatever. And there's a person on the floor with a carousel of all 30 NBA team hats. There's no reason we can't have enough hats for everybody. So there's a carousel with all 30 NBA teams, and when they find out, oh, there's a trade, this person, whoever it is, whoever's designated this job, switches the hat, and then the person who does the graphics, maybe this would be a little bit harder because graphics are a bit more tricky, but if they can get it done the 1 minute time, even better. They switch the graphics to the team that is actually drafting. The graphics to me don't matter as much as the hat. I feel the hat, it's 1, 2, 3. You switch the hat. Adam Silver gets a phone call in his little earpiece saying the Orlando Magic are trading their pick to the Golden State Warriors. Done. He comes out, this pick is being traded, blah, blah, blah. Like, I feel like that's a very easy solution. I feel like there's no reason they can't do that. Like, I don't understand why it's like so difficult. I understand in terms of, some of the reasons that people have said, like Bobby Mark said, if you do it after free agency, it'll make it easier because teams will have, made their, trades and stuff like that. And that's fine. But like, I feel like my solution is very simple and easy. Unless there's some kind of like flaw in my plan that like I don't know about, I feel like it's a very simple solution. You just tell them with 1 minute to go and that's it. And then everybody just works to change it. Like 1 minute, that's it. Change the hat, tell Adam Silver, and that's it. Like, I don't understand why it's so complicated. It does not have to be complicated. We don't have to, because some of these teams I know are working around the, rule where you can't trade picks in consecutive drafts. And so by trading the draft rights to somebody, the other team is still technically drafting them, but they're not. Like, we don't need the technicality. We understand, like, it's a loophole around the rule or whatever. It doesn't matter. The team that is getting him, the team that is drafting him is not the Brooklyn Nets. It's the Chicago Bulls. Like, we don't need to see the technicality. So I feel like that's a simple solution that they can implement. Like, you tell me in the comments down below if that's not just an easy solution to the problem. So with that being said, besides that, and that would also eliminate the issue that I said earlier about Adam Silver announcing the trade, or Mark Tatum announcing the trade, for pick number 16 when we're already on pick 25. Like, people forgot, people turned off the TV, people are confused now. That's the thing, people are confused. People are watching the draft and they are confused. They don't know who's going where. They're getting confused. You're announcing the trade 10 picks later and they're like, wait, which pick was that? Wait, who went where? Like, everybody's just confused. And it just, as the NBA, you want to present the best experience for the viewers. And if you want people to be excited about the draft, they got to at least be clear on where each player is going. Because every 2 minutes, it's hold on now, we're trading this and this player is not going there. And teams and not teams, but viewers are looking at it and they don't even know where these players are going until this season starts. And they're like, wait, when did we get that guy? I don't remember drafting him. So I feel like it's a simple solution to fix this. So that's my opinion on that. And then I'm just give you quickly some of my favorites in the second round. Now, if you watch this page, I'm a huge NBA fan, right? Like, NBA is life. But I am not the biggest college basketball fan, and I am not going to act like I knew who all these players were in the second round. I'm not going to act like that. So some of my picks are based on more so like analysis that they gave, the team that they went to, and stuff that I looked up myself. So like, I am not going to act like I knew as much about some of these second round players as I did about, maybe like a Cooper Flag and stuff like that. But based on analysis they gave, analysis I did by looking up these players and the teams that they went to, I have 3 players who I think you should look out for, who could be very impactful players, who could be kind of steals in the draft depending on how it plays out. The first one is Javon Small. He went to the Memphis Grizzlies, I think. This is why I said it gets confusing, because you know what? That pick was traded, although I believe that pick I think that pick was traded. See, I'm even getting confused. I believe that pick was traded during draft night because the Warriors got picked 52 and 57 from the Grizzlies for giving them that pick. Like, I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. See, it's even confusing for me. So he went to the Memphis Grizzlies, if I remember correctly. And the thing that I really liked about him was the only weakness that they were saying about him and stuff like that is that he's a bit small. And like, I understand size can limit you in some way, but they were basically saying like I was reading draft analysis and stuff like that, and his weakness was that he's small. Not like, oh, he is not driven to win, or he can't shoot, or he can't pass. It was nothing like that. It was really mainly like he's a little small and his size and his frame is not necessarily bulky and, as broad and strong like NBA players are. So if that's the only concern for the most part, like I'm feeling pretty good about drafting him if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies. Like we just got to worry about his size. I'm sure he is, smart enough to figure out how to use his, size to his advantage. So if that's the case, I'm feeling really good if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies. Like that's the only concern. And I know size is a thing, but like we see small guards in the NBA all the time. Jalen Brunson, Trae Young, they make it happen. So, the Memphis Grizzlies, they're pretty good at drafting players. Somebody said, I think James will retire after this year. Talking about LeBron? He might. It just depends. Like I said, I think if he has an opportunity to play with Bryce, he might stick around a little longer. So I guess that just depends if Bryce is going to get drafted. Yeah, so that's basically my opinion on that. So Javon Small is the first person I say to look out for. The other person, now I'm trying to remember because now I'm trying to remember where they went because, again, confusing. Jameer Watkins, and he went to the Wizards, I believe. I'm pretty positive he went to the Wizards. And the thing that I really liked about, his draft analysis and stuff that I looked up is that he seems to be, one, kind of polished in the sense that, like, he's not even old, but older player as compared to, some of these, 19-year-olds in the draft and stuff like that. He's like 23, I think, so he's been around for, it's crazy to say been around for a while, but he's had, more experience in that sense than a one and done. And they're talking about how good of a defender he is. And he just, at the draft combine, he apparently really impressed, I guess the scouts and people watching. Like he really made his draft stock rise, apparently, as compared to what it was before. So that tells me, at least from that small moment, that he is someone who's going to rise to the occasion. So his skill set combined with like being able to show up in the big moments. I know the draft is, not the same thing as hitting the game winner in the NBA, but like being able to rise up when pressure is on because he's at the NBA draft combine. He's not going number one like Cooper Flagg. He has to put on his best performance to potentially get drafted. So I liked hearing that because that shows to me, at least in a small sample size, that he's going to show up when it counts. Again, maybe that's a wrong analysis to take from that, but like that's kind of how I viewed it. And the last person, now I forgot because I was trying so hard to remember where Jameer Watkins was going because of all these trades. Who was it? It was a pick. It was a guard. Oh man, I'm so sorry. Oh, I remember. Cam Jones. There you go. So sorry, Cam Jones. He went to Indiana. Cam Jones, right? That's his last name. He went to Indiana, and a lot of people were talking about how he really, really fits Indiana's offense because he can play in like that high, fast pace, run up and down kind of style. And especially with Tyrese Halliburton out, they're going to need some more guard play. They obviously have Andrew Nembhard and stuff like that who has the experience, but like Tyrese Halliburton is a huge part of what they do. So if they're bringing someone in who I believe he's a senior as well, so similar to Jameer Watkins, he has had more experience and stuff like that, so he's probably more NBA ready than some of the younger guys, depending on who you're talking about. So the fact that he is going to fit into Indiana's style very well, according to a lot of people who watched him thoroughly. And because he's a guard who is a position that they're going to be, looking to get some production out of, I feel like that could be a really nice pickup for Indiana, given that, again, Tyrese Halliburton's going to be out the whole season, and we don't know exactly where they're going to end up, next year in terms of like their seeding and stuff like that, because the East is just really wide open. There's a lot of, teams who could try to win the East. And I don't think they're going to win the East, obviously, without Halliburton, but maybe this is a chance for Cam to get a lot of development. And because of this new CBA, you're going to have to rely on a couple of younger guys who are on rookie contracts because you can't just pay everybody and then have flexibility with the roster. So this might be beneficial for the Pacers in that he might get significant minutes to develop and have an actual, like, really big contribution next year when they are, back in contention for a championship. So that is my analysis on that. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream, and see you soon.